Now that you've had a chance to write down your thoughts and spend a little bit more time thinking about what philosophy is, um, I want to point out something kind of interesting about philosophy. And I'm sure you guys had a lot of good things to say. And in fact, what I'd like you to do is be prepared. I'm going to have a place up on Blackboard for you to put it down. But moving on, let me just point out something interesting. In thinking about the question of what is philosophy, let's compare it to some other subjects. And in fact, imagine you have a book like the one that you're looking at right now, Modern European History. Okay, the question is, what would you expect to find in that book? In fact, on that same piece of paper, write down what it is what kind of topics you would expect to be discussed, what particular information you would expect to find in that book. So why don't you just jot it down a second. Remember, to learn this, you're going to have to be an active participant, meaning it's not like a movie. You're going to have to sit down and take notes. So sit down, take notes, write down, what do you guys think you're going to see in a book like Modern European History? Pause it for a second and finish up writing down what you expect to see there. Now that you have a chance to say that, I'm sure a lot of you have come up with some things that you'd expect to find in a textbook like Modern European History. Some of it you might have something about the French Revolution, maybe about World War II, World War II in France, World War II in Germany. Maybe it would be even stuff more recent about the reunification of Germany. But you get an idea that you understand what the contents, and you have a pretty good idea what kinds of things you're going to find, historical events about Europe in the last several hundred years. Now let's think about what you're going to find over in this textbook, The Elements of Nursing. Any ideas? What do you guys think you're going to find in there? Here are a few suggestions. You're going to find something about patients, treating patients, helping people out, maybe medical procedures, taking blood pressure, taking the pulse, height, weight, taking medical histories. Maybe you're going to have things about ethical decisions about how to treat patients. But we have a pretty definite idea so far. Modern European history, we have a good idea what we'd find. Nursing, we'd have a pretty good idea what we'd find. Now let's look at another subject that some of you are studying. Introduction to Law Enforcement and Criminal Justice. There are always quite a few students at Kingsborough in my classes who are studying criminal justice. Now, what is it that you would expect to find in that book? Again, put it on pause for a second and write down a few things, and then start up the video again. Well, now that you've put your notes down, your thoughts down on paper, I'd suggest, you might have a few of these things in your own notes, but I'd suggest a few things you might find in there are things about the police force, the organization of the police force, police procedures, arrests, booking of people, maybe things about the legal system, about jail, things like that. So I think you have a pretty good idea before, even if you have never taken a never taken a course in any of these subjects, you have a pretty good idea of what you'd find in books like this. Now, how about this one? Introduction to Philosophy. Classical and Contemporary Readings. Now, again, as usual, put it on pause. I want you to take your notes about what you think you're going to find in this book and restart. Hit the pause and restart after you've already made your commitment, what you tend to find there. Well, there's something kind of interesting about this. That is, most of you are probably not sure what you'd find in there. Maybe some of you took some guesses because of the course that maybe there's going to be something written by Plato or Aristotle. But if somebody asked you what topics, notice law enforcement, you had an idea what kind of topics would be covered. Law enforcement and criminal justice, I should say. And in nursing, you had some idea kind of topics that would be covered. Maybe something about a doctor's office, about hospitals, and in European history. And I should tell you, when I tell people that what I do for a living is teach philosophy, that I'm a philosophy professor, I usually get people staring there. You'll say, oh, you meet somebody in the course of a conversation. What do you do? Oh, I teach philosophy. After the pause, the so-called pregnant pause that I get, you get something like, oh, nice weather, or whatever, because people usually don't have a very good idea of what it is that you would do in a philosophy class. Maybe you get a comment like, well, doesn't that have something to do with psychology? Well, not really. But the interesting thing is, most reasonably well-educated people don't know what philosophy is, don't know what to expect in that book or in this class. And at least at the end of this session, and certainly at the end of this course, you're going to be in a better position than most reasonably well-educated people, because you will have a very good idea of what philosophy is, and you'll get a chance in the course of the semester not only to get a perspective of what people have had to say, but also to wrestle with some of the philosophical problems, the great minds of all times, what they had to say about these problems.